Welcome to Super Agents Live. This is the one place where you can come and hear the most successful people in real estate. You'll hear how these super agents built their businesses, how they stay productive, and how they stay motivated. Who am I? My name's Toby Salgado, and I made my first $1 million in real estate. And I'm your host for the next 30 minutes while we talk to yet another amazing real estate entrepreneur. Stay tuned.
Let's go! Yeah!
Hey everybody, what's up? How's it going? How's your week shaping up? Well, I guess it's Friday, so how'd your week go? Hey, thanks for tuning in. If you just found the show, welcome. We talk about how to build a business here. And unlike, there's a lot of podcasts out there attacking this at some level, but for us here, we get into it, man. We get into strategies, tactics, mindset, all that stuff. And today's episode, we tackle a bunch of that. I was just kind of listening this to write the blog post, and we start to get deep about 26 minutes in. But hey, look, here's what's up. Here's what we talk about excuse me, today. Now, today's guest was in college, and she started flipping houses. And we talk about how she went from a college house flipper with a very, very traditional background. Her dad, worked in a factory, and she thought that's how life went. You get a job, you get a 401k, and somewhere down the road you get a retirement, get a pension or whatever. Who gets that? But anyhow, so she went from that kind of background to now having a 200-person brokerage. So what do we talk about today? We talk about, one, we get into risk tolerance and how to get over the fear we all have. Those of us who are just starting to build a business for the first time, and maybe we always had a full-time job and we had medical, and all of a sudden we're jumping into the deep end of the pond, and no solid paycheck. No, nothing. So we talk about risk tolerance. We also talk about, in that vein, how she went from a part-time agent to a full-time agent. And I got to tell you, man, I get that email 3 times a week. Hey, Toby, I'm doing it part-time, would love to go full-time. How do I do it? And my answer is just do it, right? I mean, that's what you got to do. You just do it. I don't know why people have such a hard time with that. Look, at the end of the day, if you're out there selling real estate part-time and you want to go full-time, just do it. What's going to happen, right? How many people actually die of starvation in America? You're not going to die of starvation. You're going to make it happen. And I got to tell you, when your back is up against the wall, that's when we all make magic happen, baby. So if that's you, I'm telling you right now, today's Friday, walk into your boss's office, quit, and drive straight to your farm and start door knocking and see what happens. Give 2 weeks from now, I bet you'll have a deal. All right. What else we talk about? We talk about, speaking of back up against the wall, we talk about how she was a stay-at-home mom, right? She thought she was living the dream. Her husband, well, he's not feeling that good. He gets diagnosed with cancer, and all of a sudden she's got a baby. She's got this husband with cancer, and she goes all in. And that's how, again, that was probably the thing, the thing. I didn't ask her that, but that was probably the one thing that made her into the kind of person, or helped her build the type of business, the size of business she has today. We also get into some tactical stuff. We get into some tactical social media stuff. We also get into some strategic cold outreach strategies, and then we start to talk about personality types, right? She's got an interesting instead of a disc profile, she uses bold or something, and that I'm not familiar with that particular test, but it ranks people as like lions or bears or lambs. So how does that lamb, right? How does that introverted person go out and compete against me? Right. So we talk about how to marry your personality type with the type of business that you will build. And again, we talk about tactically. She says, hey, a lamb will do this, and it makes sense. Makes total sense. All right. Real quick, if you haven't yet, go to the site. Go to superagentslive.com. That's where we have all the show notes. You can read a little bit more about the show there. You can download my free book, join our free membership site, whatever. That'll get you on my list. And again, I share stuff with my list that I don't share with anybody else. And I'm actually writing an article right now about marketing, and I'll tell you a little bit about it, if you don't mind me taking 47 seconds of your time. But basically, I'm really trying to break down the notion of marketing, right? All marketing, whether radio, TV, mailers, whatever, all marketing is interruption based. All marketing is interruption based, right? And even a billboard, right? That's interruption based. You're taking my attention. You're trying to take my attention. And what I'm trying to unpack in this article is the fact that, is there marketing that we can do that is not only not interruption based, but becomes part of our habits and routines. And really, in reality, I'll be totally honest with you, I'm making a case for podcasting, right? Because, we all have, just like in business, we all have systems and processes, right? To be more efficient, to make things easier. And in our lives, we have those same systems and processes, right? We take the same trip to work every day. We have the same routine when we get up in the morning, right? Wake up, make coffee, read the paper, brush your teeth, whatever. And now, the world is changing. 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, part of my morning routine is I'd read the newspaper, and it's just what I did. I couldn't stop. I was habitual about it. Right. And how the world is changing now is, instead of picking up the paper, what people do, some people get on Facebook. But if you're like everybody listening and me, we tune into a podcast. So if we can create a podcast, and have them, our prospect, listening, and that's baked into their routine, how much closer are we to that person, right? So again, marketing that's not interruption based. And by the way, if you've been thinking about doing podcasts, go check out Viralcast. If you want to do radio and level up and just boom, 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 get come listen me calls, go check out Real Estate Radio Experts. What else? Twitter. Hey, my handle @SuperAgentsLive. Hashtag for the show is Unpack That Idea. Let's get to it. Hey, and by the way, I'm getting some good emails from with guests. So if you have anybody in mind you'd like to bring on the show, let me know. If you have any ideas, like what do you guys want to hear? What do you guys want to hear? I'll do an episode on it. I'll get somebody on, whatever. So help me out. This is your guys' show. We do this for you guys, and it's fun. We do it for us too. But help us make the show more tailored to you. All right, that's it. Let's go. Today on the show, today's guest has an interesting background. So we're going to get into it. But she's in Kansas City, and she owns a few different brokerages. One is a team of 4, and then another one she's an associate broker. There's 200 agents there. So we're going to talk about how she has her hand in so many different pots. Her focus is on Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, REO properties. When she was an individual, her top year was about $30 million. I'm thrilled to welcome Dawn Dunavant. Hey, Dawn, thanks for taking the time out.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So listen, I gave the audience a brief overview, kind of a nuts and bolts overview of what you're doing. But take a minute before we get to all the stuff you're doing. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I always like to get to know and get a feeling for who you are as a person.
Okay. Well, I'm married, been with my college sweetheart for 20 years. We have a 12-year-old boy, an 8-year-old boy. We live in a little lake community here in Kansas City known as Lake Tapawingo, so we spend a lot of time on the water. It's a wonderful community. We call ourselves the village because we're always there for each other. So it's really just a tight-knit group. And I grew up in southern Missouri, so I grew up on a farm where I learned to work very hard from a very early age. I came up to Kansas City to go to college here and never left.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that's always interesting. Whenever I talk with people from the Midwest, they seem to have, that's kind of their backbone. They have a really, really strong work ethic. And we often say in the show, hard work trumps talent every time.
Yes, it does.
So you went to college there. I'm trying to get a feeling for how big is Kansas City?
Oh, gosh, I don't even know our population. Kansas City is just a little bit smaller than St. Louis.
Okay.
I have an office in St. Louis, so when I go there, it feels very fast-paced. And I come back to my cow town, Kansas City, and I love it very much. It just has a small town feel to it, but I'm not exactly sure of our population.
And
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, here's why I'm asking. I'm trying to get a feeling for, often people will say, oh, geez, when we think about, getting your sphere of influence together, they'll say, well, I don't have a sphere, right? I don't know that many people. So I'm trying to get a feeling for when you started your business, did you start from scratch in terms of building a list?
Oh, it's so funny because the company I actually work for now, that I manage an office, I co-broker with Chad Dumas here in Lee Summit, which is a suburb of Kansas City, and it's with Reese Nichols. And when I was in college, I interviewed with Reese Nichols in Blue Springs, and I had my license in my hand, and she said, I'm sorry, you're just not going to be a good fit. The broker I spoke to at that time said, you're not from here, you don't have a COI, I just think you might want to pick a different career. And she sent me packing.
Wow.
So I know. So I went to a smaller brokerage, Kale Delaney Company, and they specialized in foreclosures. And I had picked up my first rehab property from them. So in college, my husband and I would pick up a foreclosure, and we would rehab it and flip it, and then we'd pay off our tuition for that year. So that's how we made it through college, was rehabbing properties. So I went to the brokerage that I had bought my first property from, and she's like, heck yeah, you can be a buyer's agent. So within a year of hanging my license, I was closing over 8 properties a month with her and picking up properties to rehab and to rent.
So in college, you flipped houses?
Yes, that's how I paid for my tuition.
That's amazing. I painted houses. So you were an entrepreneur at heart. I mean, you've always been you've always had this. Is that something that you developed along the way, or is that growing up? Did you always know, or how did you fall? That's amazing to me on a bunch of levels, but mainly your risk tolerance, even as a young woman. You had that. And again, that's something that most people just, they're scared. Look, you've seen this, Dawn, right? People never want to just jump into real estate full time. They want to do it part time. And so, let's talk about risk tolerance and how you got that.
I had absolutely no risk tolerance. I was scared to death. My dad was a factory worker. He was home by 6 o'clock every day. When I went off to college, I thought you did a good job with a pension, it pays your 401k, you have benefits, and you find that good job after you graduate. So I thought, well, I'll find that when I graduate, I suppose. I worked at Walmart, and I worked at a psych hospital. I always had another job that helped pay the bills. And so I would work full time, and then I would go home and rehab a house. So I started in real estate part-time because I was so fearful. And so I was able to switch over to full-time real estate. Actually, when I had my first child, I thought, I'll be a stay-at-home mom and I'll do real estate part-time. Well, 6 months into that, my husband was diagnosed with cancer.
Oh, my God.
So I'm like, right. So I'm like, well, I guess this is sink or swim, right? So I put together my system. I got up at 6 a.m. every morning, and I consistently checked properties on MLS. If something came on within 24 hours, it went out to my clients. So I was right there just pumping it away. It was, not that I was
Dawn.
it into my day one way or the other.
Okay, are you on a cell phone, Dawn? You're kind of going in and out.
I am. Sorry about that.
That's
Is
okay.
that better?
I don't know.
Okay.
So yeah, well, let's just keep doing what you're doing. Okay. So let's talk about how you finance those properties, because again, I'm stuck on this entrepreneur thing and the flipping houses still. How did you pay cash for these? How did you get the cash? Did you finance them? How did you acquire these?
It was
properties?
conventional financing. So
Okay.
back then, I mean, gosh, I guess it's been 20 years,
Okay.
15. You could get conventional financing. And, it was amazing what they would finance conventionally. And once I was able to get some properties under my belt, I would do a line of credit. And I would use the line of credit to purchase the next one or rehab it.
Okay.
So it was about building it up slowly but surely. I mean, I was dropped off at college with $10. So it was scrimping and saving and knowing that if I put it in the right place, it would come back to me, but I had to build it. So we would live in a house for 2 years because you didn't pay your capital gains tax and sell it. So, I mean, as soon as that 2-year mark came, we would sell it and use those proceeds to buy two. So every time I sold one, I'd buy two.
Wow. Okay, that's absolutely fascinating. So now, was it the case? Because then I was going to talk about entrepreneurship, but your husband gets diagnosed with cancer, which is terrible. You had a baby at this time, I think.
Right.
And so it was sink or swim for you. That's when you said, "I have to do this."
That's right.
So you were thrust.
That's right.
So you were thrust into being an entrepreneur rather than a
Yes.
fully conscious choice.
I completely admit it, yes.
Okay.
It was not planned, but it worked. It just worked, and I flowed with it, and it's truly, how you say, hard work trumps talent.
Yeah.
It was hard work all the way. And then building the relationships. I treated each person, whether it was a $12,000 house or a $500,000 house, those people were treated the same way.
Okay. All right. Now, and I do want to get to the point when how you were selling, eight properties a month, early on. But one thing, you were fearful, you were thrust into entrepreneurship. Your background was playing it safe, right? You go to work, you contribute
Right.
to your 401k. So how does a girl like you, what is it in you that you've built this empire, right? You could have been just a successful agent making $300,000 or $400,000 a year, but you didn't choose that path, right? So you're a co-broker with 200 agents, and you have this different. So how did you get into empire building, or think about like, I want more, or I want to do more? Why didn't you just settle for being just a successful agent?
It's about growth, and I really took the time. So last year, I actually took a year-long sabbatical, and I flew around the country and met with some of my favorite authors. So, like Dan Millman from Way of the Peaceful Warrior, and I would spend a weekend there. And so I really wanted to decide, okay, now what's my next step? Because I had been in the foreclosure market, so we hit it really hard. We made a lot of money. We opened other offices. What was my next step? How am I going to grow from here and grow in a way that I'm proud of? So I really looked around at the different brokerages. I flew around the country and looked at corporate boards for different brokerages, and I came to realize that I loved the leadership at Reese Nichols, that I really didn't appreciate what I had. And so I really dug in deep and decided to commit to building better agents, learn from the School of Hard Knocks. So I wanted to give back. It was time to give back. You can only do so much with so much money, and then you have to find a way to make others grow and to help others grow. And so that's what it's about right now.
Okay.
I only grow by other people growing, and that's the satisfaction I get. Handing them the booklet and then showing them how to do it, and then seeing them when they get their first paycheck. It's just incredible. I love it.
Okay. Yeah, and let's talk. I want to talk about that because as you know, Don, I mean, the problem is, we all know the stats, right? 87% of new agents are going to wash out in the first year, and that typically happens because you get your license. You go to some brokerage and they go, there's the telephone, go. And nobody knows what to do. So,
Right.
So you're giving back in the form of training, in the form of growing people.
That's right.
Talk to us about what you think are the most, for someone starting out, because I think you'd be fabulous to talk about this. For someone starting out, what are some of the things that they absolutely need to know, need to do to start to grow a successful business?
They need to start slow and small and be consistent in their effort. And then in that consistency, they need accountability. So it's about consistency, accountability, and then truly caring about what you're doing. But you have to be disciplined. So we can start by building the plan block by block, but you have to stay consistent with those behaviors. And prospecting's number one, right? So straight out of the gate, you have to time block that prospecting, and then what do you do with that? So you have to have a good plan. We built a good 13-week plan that build blocks upon each block so that as an agent walks out of this office, they better walk with swagger. My boys better walk out with some swagger because they know what they're doing and they know how to do it. So it's really about being consistent with your own education. I mean, this is all on you, right? This business is all on you. You can't blame anyone else for anything else, especially if you're given the tools in your hand. And we have really good tools. I mean, there's so much knowledge out there these days. You can get overwhelmed with it. So it's really about breaking it down to individual blocks and building on each block once you have it down.
Okay, so we all know that prospecting is what, this business is a contact sport, right? Go out, make contacts, right. That's it, and develop those, right? Build relationships. So somebody's going to say, okay, I'm going to time block my day from 8 to 10, 8 to 12, 8 to 1, whatever it is, and I'm going to do what? How do you propose that people prospect? Is it on the phone, knocking on doors? Help us put together a little, 1 or 2 week plan together for that person who's in that situation right now.
Well, first of all, I have them do a personality test.
Okay.
And I want them to know what makes them thrive, what they really enjoy doing. So we do a personality test, and we figure out what they enjoy the most and where they're going to get the most bang for their buck, right? So you break down into four different sections. We call it Bolt. And there's the bulls, the owls, and the tigers, and the lambs. And you figure out which one you fit into because, anybody can sell, but you got to know how to sell and what works for you and fits into your diagram. And then you can set it up. So some people like to just get on the phone and really have a good conversation, and they can actually do it right out of the gate. Well, some of us, would rather just start doing some posts on Facebook and do social media. Some of us want to do email. Some of us want to do handwritten notes. So it's really about understanding your personality type and how you attract your clients to you and focusing heavy and hard and consistent on that.
Okay, so now I think that's a great exercise. For me, I suggest people go take a DISC profile, and depending on where they are in the DISC profile, that will give you an indication whether you should work with buyers or work with sellers.
Right.
But you're saying something a little bit different. So you're tying in personality profile to prospecting method. Is that okay? Wow, that's interesting. What about focusing on a side, like sellers, buyers? Do you also do that?
Yeah, and the majority. I mean, you got a list to last. So I'm always preaching that. Go after your buyers. I understand you enjoy working with those buyers, but if you want to last, you've got to list. So you really do need to work up to listing those properties.
Okay, that's great. Now, again, I don't, what you said earlier, it depends on how people want to prospect, whether they want to be on the phone, be in the field knocking on doors, or writing thank you cards, or I thought I heard you say, try to do something with Facebook. Can you actually get listings on, just being that person behind the computer messing with Facebook?
Oh, yeah. I've seen it several times. And it's all about engagement. It's about the questions you ask and finding out how motivated those responses are. So, we had Michael Mayer in the office not too long ago, and he gave us a great idea. I think it was Timothy Chin that works with him, said, do a post on Facebook, ask, give me an idea between 1 and 10. If you were to sell today, what number between 1 and 10 would be your motivator? And it was amazing because I had one of my agents, I just talked to one, and he had done it, and he had over, I don't know how many comments, and then he would reply to each comment and have them talk to him through private messaging, and he got a listing out of it.
Mm. And Michael's been on the show a couple times, so he's a great guy.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, really great guy. I mean, he's really good about giving, kind of what you're doing, right? Giving back. Okay. Look, so you can do it, but those are outliers. You can't build a scalable, sustainable business just being on Facebook.
Nope, you got to mix it up.
Okay. All right. Now, again, going back to this time blocking thing, what in terms of mixing it up? What is that mix in terms of, calling, writing notes? Right? How do you, and maybe that's not a very good question, but you know what I'm kind of getting at.
I totally do. So like my tigers in the bolt scenario, my tigers are the ones I tell to do a lot of Facebook posts. So I'll tell them do a Facebook post 4 times in a week that's work related. So 80% needs to be personal, 20% needs to be about business.
Absolutely.
So I want them to post 4 times about work, anything to do about real estate. And also they're going to be responsible for contacting 10 people in their COI that week. And tigers are also responsible for attending networking events because those are people that are great face-to-face, and they're my door knockers. So those are the ones I want door knocking as well. And so I'll push them to door knock 20 houses in a week, where a lamb I'll push to do 2. Got it.
And I imagine, Don, you slowly, as you get these people out of their comfort zone, that lamb, it's 2 a week for a month, right? And then I'm sure you slowly ramp them up.
That's right. And those are going to be my farmers as well. So lambs are good about making little gifts, and they don't want to knock on the door. So you know what I have them do? Yeah. I have them take their pop by to the house, take a picture of it on the doorstep, and then text it to that COI contact and say, I left you a little gift right here on your porch. Don't step on it when you walk out. Let me know if you know of anybody interested in buying or selling. And I swear, when they text message their COI, they always get a response. So they're not the tiger that's knocking on the door and is going to talk to them and hand them their pop by, but that text message is probably going to get a better response.
So I think I know the answer, how you're going to answer this question, but I'm looking at this Bolt personality test right now, and this is the first, I've never heard of this before. But so tiger, fun-loving, expressive, a lamb avoids conflict, easily agreeable. An owl is very analytical, studies everything detail-oriented, and then there's the bull. That's me, right? Seeks control, gets to the bottom line. If people are out there and they are the lamb, right? They avoid conflict, easily agreeable. They have a hard time making decisions, soft-spoken. Can those lambs succeed in real estate? I think I know your answer to that, but I'm sure there's some lambs listening right now. So.
Right.
How do you talk?
And it's all in the lamb's motivation.
Okay.
You need to find their motivator, their why. The lamb lives on the why. So if they have a picture of their family posted to the dashboard of their car, they might actually walk up to that FSBO because they're going to have to look at that picture and promise the people in that picture they're going to give their damnedest that day. So you really have to tap into a lamb's why. And they really have to carry that with them.
That's great. And I think that everybody, you, at the end of the day, right, work is work, it's hard. And right. Being an agent or an entrepreneur, you don't have a boss. So, it's easy to to not do the stuff you want. So
That's right.
how Dawn, tapping into that why is important. How do you, if somebody doesn't know their why, how do you help them find that why?
Oh, everybody's got a why.
Yep.
Everybody's got a why. And you got to go home to find it because you got to go deep and you have to find your center. So it's very important for salespeople to be connected to their center. They have to be aligned with whatever spiritual consciousness they have because they're going to be swayed off that center. They're going to be told no. They're going to have doors shut in front of them. They're going to have people hang up on them. They're going to have co-agents, not saying the nicest things on the phone. So they have to be very centered. They have to find that center. What is it? The Miracle Morning by Hal Enrod is a great book that is helping people hold on to their center by structuring their morning before they get to the office. So I do talk to my agents a lot about how they started their day. Do you meditate in the morning? Do you exercise in the morning? Do you connect with that inner consciousness that's not going to sway you? So it's really important to hold on to that center and not allow others to pull you from it. You know who you are and what you stand for, and you're not going to be pulled away from that. You won't allow it.
Okay. All right. So we found our why. We know that prospecting is the most important thing we do. We're going to time block our activities, and we're going to have a mix of them, right? We're going to have a mix of okay.
That's right.
You've seen, all right? I mean, you have 200 agents that you work with in your one brokerage. You've seen people come, you've seen people go, succeed, fail. What are the traits of when those people that do fail, they wash out, at month 8? Is there thematically like a something that is always kind of similar to those people who wash out, and conversely, those people that succeed?
It's about diligence. It's about finding that fight deep down inside and sticking with it and continuing to educate yourself. I mean, you have to show up to the office. You have to make the numbers. When you start slipping in your numbers and you're not making the calls and you're not keeping up with the commitments that you've made to yourself and to my accountability group, you can see them slowly dwindle out. So you have to rekindle that energy. You have to find the reason why you got into this in the first place. You have to hold on to that why. And it's those that just they're not putting the grit into it. I mean, this is not an easy business, but it's an easy job. We can figure this out. I mean, it's something that you have so many good people around you. When you hit a problem, we can work it out together. We have an incredible office where everybody pitches in and helps everybody out. But you have to have the commitment to yourself, because when you don't have that commitment to yourself to succeed, other people are going to see it too. They want to be around a winner, and so you have to believe in yourself that you are that winner and that you can figure it out. But it's grit. I mean, it comes down to hard work. Those that walk away did not put in their time. You got to show up to the office and put in your time.
Yeah, you got to put in the reps.
That's right.
And I don't know about Kansas City, but I do know, because again, we do radio for people across the nation. Listings are tough, man. This is a tough environment out there. And,
right.
and there's people like you, who, or Reese Nichols or you guys have it figured out. You have your systems and processes down. You guys have a marketing budget, right? And how does somebody new compete against somebody like you?
You don't fight the lion. Join the team.
Say that. Well, you're breaking up. Say that one more time, Dawn.
You don't fight the lion. You join the team.
Okay. And I think that's great advice. I think that certainly for those new folks out there that that are trying to figure it out on their own.
Right.
So tell me this, Dawn. And if you keep breaking up, we'll have to get you on a landline. But how does someone find a good team to join? And make sure that team is a good fit for them, and vice versa.
You got to interview many teams and interview as many brokerages as you can. You got to get out there and ask questions. And the more people you meet with, the more questions you're going to know to ask. And as you ask those questions, you're going to get the answers you're looking for, but you have to keep looking and not just settle in.
Okay. So you have, but I don't know. I think, listen, somebody came on the show and said, if you want to find out the top team, go out into the world, the internet, pose as a buyer, and the team that starts pounding you, they've got the marketing stuff figured out. So I think that's one way to find a top team. But and again, I can appreciate the interview as many teams as possible. But I'm in San Diego. How am I going to find the top teams out there? Is there a list somewhere or?
Well, the top teams are going to have the most amount of listings, so everybody does their research online. I mean, the buyers that we have now are more educated than they've ever been before, and the agents that come in to interview are more educated than they've ever been before. There's so much information on the internet, you have to do your homework. You can't expect other people to do it for you. So they're going to be out there, and they're going to be searching the internet, and they'll see who has the most listings. Okay. And so those are the ones you're going to want to narrow down and talk to. Okay,
that's good advice. Okay. All right, so now we're for this episode. It's really about all those new agents. So I hope everybody out there, if you're listening and you've kind of if you're dealing 100 deals already, don't tune out. I'm sure we're going to get to something that's gonna work for you. And on that note, Don, what are you out in Kansas City? What and we're recording in early September 2015. What's working for some of your teams, some of your brokers? What's working right now out there for you guys?
Well, we have a lot of new construction right now. The builders are back and the builders are in force. So those relationships that you've built over the years, it's time to get them moving. We need sellers. It's amazing how many listings that we're down. We need people to realize that they have a lot of equity in their house. I don't think people still yet realize how high the market's come back, that they have a lot of equity in their house and how that can build them up into another home. So really educating the public that what their home is really worth now is a big deal. So having our agents out there with market analysis for the neighborhoods and banging on the doors and leaving little My Neighborhood reports or little BPOs or little appraisals so people realize the actual values of the neighborhoods and getting them in a system that we have called My Neighborhood, where they are notified via email as soon as something is listed or sold in their neighborhood. That way they are keeping up on the market and they're realizing what their home's actually worth now.
And I think, I think that's great. So if you can generate a report or, have this system to where, you're keeping the neighborhood up to date, I think for that lamb or that owl who's scared to go to the door, I think when you are providing value, I think that's a good way for those people to get over that. Just not going. Hey, listen, I'm providing value. I'm not selling anything. Those people hate to sell.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So again, I think that's great. I think that's a way to build your list. I think that's a way to add value. It's a way to build relationships. And even go ahead.
And we have agents use that as a list for open houses. So instead of just signing an open house registration, you're signing up for the My Neighborhood report so that you're going to see that when something sells in this neighborhood or lists in this neighborhood, you're getting that information immediately. So they're providing value as soon as they walk into that open house as well.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And I think one of the other things, in terms of a tactic or strategy or whatever, I think just building creating a private Facebook group for that neighborhood, and then getting people to. I think that's another thing that's unique. It doesn't cost anything, and a way to build the list and get build some credibility.
I love that. That's a great idea.
Yeah. Oh, you've never heard that one before?
No, I haven't.
You got to listen to this show, Don.
I do. I need to listen more.
Okay. What do you know now, Don? You've had this career, and you with taking your year sabbatical, you've figured out your why. Now that's giving back. That's growing people. What do you know now that you wish you would have known when you started?
how important relationships are in this business. I was raised to be kind to everybody, so I was lucky enough that I didn't burn very many bridges. But I didn't realize how important those relationships are to each and every buyer, to each and every seller, to each and every agent, even people not in my industry. How to nurture those relationships, how important a handwritten thank you card is, how important it is to show gratitude to other business entities.
Yeah.
So it's the relationship that's the key to this business, and it took me a while to realize how important it was.
Yeah, and look, and at the end of the day, I think one on that note is you're not going to make everybody happy, and you know what? If you can't make them happy,
Right.
and they're like just. That's okay, right? You're not going to be a hero to everybody. That's all right. And that's something I'm still learning. Is like I can't make everybody happy,
Right.
just whatever.
Right.
So how when you had Michael in your, Michael's whole deal, Mayor, his whole deal is about referrals, right? Hey, I live and die on referrals, and how relationships are important. You know how to build them stronger. How does someone get to the point of having a true referral business? And then maybe this is not your wheelhouse, but again, this kind of ties into that relationship mantra you were speaking of.
Most definitely. Something that he talked about before was the great retrace, about retracing each and every referral. So your referrals can go 7 people deep sometimes.
Yeah.
And every time you get a referral, and not just a referral, but you go back down that line of your referral list, anytime somebody in that referral list lists a house, gets it under contract, sells it, once you sell it, you call each and every person down that retrace line and tell them thank you because you got paid that day simply because of them and their relationship and how grateful you are to have them in your life. So, again, it's about holding your referrals accountable, because you mentioned the Hawthorne effect. When you mention to them that you track each and every referral and that you want to do that so that you can tell them thank you, you are subconsciously telling them you're measuring them. And the Hawthorne effect is that those that are measured tend to perform better. So they're going to send you more referrals. You're not just going to get one, you're going to get more than one when they realize they are actually being measured, just so you can show them gratitude.
That's interesting. Because subconsciously measuring them. That is very interesting. How now? So on that note, I mean, what do you think about the fact of I refer you? You're going to give me I would imagine you would do a few things. One, you'd give me a phone call, say, "Hey, Toby, thanks a lot for that referral." Then you might even follow up a week or two later, going, "Hey, I just wanted to, thank them again with a handwritten note." Do you ever is this a strategy of at the end of the year saying, "Hey, Don, last year you gave me 5 referrals. I'm so thankful. This year I got 3. I'm super, you know what I mean? Like measure them, like back, like say, hey, you're not doing your job. I mean, I don't know if that's a crazy idea.
We don't go that far.
Okay.
We just go as far as to say thank you as many times as possible. Now, once that property gets on the market, we're going to send them a link via email and ask them to look it over, see if there's anything they would change, ask them if they would BCC it to their contacts, and if once they see that their referral partner posts their listing on the Facebook, if they wouldn't mind sharing that as well. So we take each referral and we add them to our marketing team.
Got it. I think that's very clever. Asking for advice. Hey, I just wrote this. Here's the listing. What do you think about it? I think that's awesome.
Yeah, that's a Michael Mayer tactic.
Got it. I didn't go.
Yeah.
It's the first time I've heard that one. So listen, we're going to start wrapping up. I've had you on the phone now for 38 minutes. So,
okay.
You did something interesting that you shared, right? So you took a year off and you went and visited authors. And I thought that was, that's interesting that you visited authors instead of, other successful brokerages or team leaders or whatever. How did you get, I have a platform, so I just got Orrin Claff. I don't know if you know who Orrin Claff is. Pitch anything. I've had Dave Jenks. I've had all these New York Times bestselling authors on my show because I have this platform. How did you get these people to agree to meet with you in person and spend time with you? Or did you pay them, or was it, how'd you do that?
I did workshops. I looked around, and anymore, everyone's coaching. Everybody's looking for ways to give back. So my favorite authors that have workshops or weekend getaways or gave lectures, they all do. They all speak at some point. So I just tracked them. And the ones I wanted to meet, the ones that were available. It's amazing that when you just want more information, it comes to you. Yeah. So it was pretty easy to do. It was really easy to find them on the internet and find different times that they were coaching.
Yeah, it's easier than people think. And the reason why I asked that is because I want to lead into this question. And for you, Dawn, as you've grown personally, as you've grown professionally, who has been a mentor to you?
Well, personally, I have a broker here in town, Susan Kidsteiner, who has been a terrific mentor to me. And the great Dr. Wayne Dyer that passed away this week. I read everything he ever put out, and so I saw him as a father figure, one of those that I would reach for one of his books in a time of need. Sheryl Sandberg, she
Sure.
Put out Lean In, and as a woman, it was wonderful to hear it's okay to lean into your career, and it's okay to have your kids see you be successful, even though you're surrounded by a lot of stay-at-home moms. It takes a village, and I was able to lean on my village to have the career that I have. So I'm surrounded by terrific mentors. I have incredible parents that taught me how to work hard and to be honest and to be kind. So, I'm surrounded, and we all have them if we look around. It's not like that our mentors have to talk directly to us.
Yeah.
There's information everywhere. We just have to open up to it.
Got it. Okay. I totally agree, and I think one is opening yourself up, and the other is putting yourself out there, right? Asking for people.
Putting yourself out there completely.
So
and being vulnerable.
Yeah, that's tough, man. That is so hard.
It's
scary,
especially in this business. Mm-hmm.
So we always ask for a book recommendation. I know you just mentioned Sheryl Sandberg's Lean In, and if people don't know, she's very much a Valley, a tech person. But here's a setup. I'm an aspiring agent, Dawn. I have $25.
Okay.
What book do I need to go buy today?
Well, I've talked about it a couple times today, but I love Michael Mayer's 7 Levels because he doesn't tell you to go spend a bunch of money on this lead generation or that lead generation, but it's about building relationships, and I'm a big believer in that. Building totally.
I don't know if you've heard of a guy named Russell Rhodes. Do you know Russell or? It doesn't matter.
I've heard of it, yeah.
So he's a $200 million guy. He, every year he makes about $3.2 million in GCI, and him and I are friendly, and I've spent some time with him. And he's on marketing on his stuff. He spends $73,000 a year to get 3.2 million GCI,
that's a great return.
Oh, that's an awesome return. But at the end of the day, it's all about because he's so good at building community. So I 100% agree with that. Look, everybody, I always ask for book recommendations, so to offer you guys a free copy. Now, unfortunately, Michael does have an Audible version. The guy just hasn't put it on Audible yet. So anyhow, go get a Sheryl Sandberg Lean In book. If that's very much that's mostly females are going to like that book. Or go get something else. But here's our link. audibletrial.com/superagentslive. Go get a free copy of whatever book you want. Hey, listen, Don, I always encourage my audience, if they've gotten anything out of this, to reach out and to say thank you to you. And look, maybe there's somebody out there that just listened to this and said, Don's awesome. I want to join her team out there in Kansas City. Where can people find you?
Email is always the best. It's Dawn, D-A-W-N, the letter D, at ReeseNichols.com. That's ReeseNichols.com.
Yep, Reese.
Dawn D at ReeseNichols.com.
Perfect. And everybody, listen, all the stuff will be on the show notes. Just go to superagentslive.com. Find Don Dunavant and all, I know you guys are right now walking your dog, driving to school, to whatever. Hey, listen, Don, I'll be the first to kick off the thank you train. I know you're a busy person managing all those people and helping them grow. So I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been great.
Awesome. All right, let's stay in touch.
Same here.
See you, Don.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
This show is produced by me, Toby Salgado, with help from our research team and production done by Viralcast. If you're building a team and want to make sure you're doing it the most efficient way, reach out to Corcoran Coaching. They coach 83 of the nation's top producing teams, and for our listeners, they'll give you a free business evaluation. Send an email to bubba@corcorancoaching.com and let them know I told you guys to call.
Let's go. Yeah. For those of you that want to know what we're all about, it's like this, yo. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentration.